and me being a rebel and everything else by then, we asked him to go make us a run by saying like, but what I mean by make us a run is go to the liquor store and go get us a bottle because we're underage and we can't go in. So can you go get us a bottle? So he went to go get us a bottle, the guy that killed my mother. And I don't know what frame of mind I was in at that time, thinking, you know, why should I get... But anyways, he went to go get us a bottle. And he came back, gave us the bottle. Me, Gordy, and Dougie, we went back down the back road. We went to a tent, and this is in the middle of winter. We went to that tent, we partied. Me being a kid, we got smashed. I got smashed. We were drinking whiskey. And I passed out. And Gordy and Dougie decided to leave me alone at that time and leave me like blanket, and they put wood in the stove, and they walked out with every intention of coming back to check up on me. But what they didn't realize after they left is that the guy that made us to run and the guy that killed my mother must have followed us and waited for them to go, or waited for some sort of action. Once he seen Dougie and Gordy leaving, he came into the tent, came in, went on top of me, and slowly started strangling. And for some odd reason, Gordy and Dougie decided to come back. They forgot something, or they remembered something, I don't know. But they found the same guy that killed my mother on top of me, trying to strangle me. And they reacted, you know, like they said, they threw the guy off, they put him down, they, you know, I don't know, they roughed him up, and they told him, you know, get the hell out of here, you know. So so this guy took off. But one of the statements that he made while he was trying to strangle me when I was a kid is he told Gordy, and Gordy remembers those exact words to this day. He says, "I'm gonna kill this guy like I killed his mother." Damn, man. I said, no. But anyways, what happened is nothing ever came out of it. That him trying to strangle me. But after he left, everybody left, I tried to get up and follow them. Like, we're still in this tent. You know, I'm still smashed. I froze that night. I froze. The doctor says I would, you know, another 5 minutes or less, I'd be dead. So, in that one night alone, I must have died almost 3 times, you know, just from drinking alcohol and as a kid, and then this guy trying to strangle me, and then I went and froze a little bit later on, right? So, that night, man, I almost froze 3 times. And, but after that event, they shipped me back out. They put me in another group home. This time I ended up in Thunder Bay, Ontario. But after all that happened, the guy never got charged. Nobody ever investigated the fact, even though a lot of people knew what happened with my mother. So, at that time I was only 11 or 12 or 11, yeah, I was around 12 when all that happened, I think. And I remember them shipping me off. This time I ended up in Thunder Bay group home. And my mother is dead now, and I can't go home no more, and I'm in another home. So, what happened after that, 1976 is when my mother died. And the guy never got charged for it. So, off to Thunder Bay, I stayed in Thunder Bay for, I was 15, I remember that, yeah, 15 then. But somebody told me, when you're 15 and you're going to turn 16, you have every legal right to just walk out of the group home that you're in and just go home. So when I turned 16, I walked out of this group home that I was in because I told the director, you can't hold me no more. I can just walk out and you have to buy me a ticket. So that's what he did. He turned around and bought me a ticket and put me on a bus and went off to home. But, you know, again, what happens when you get home? Everything's still in chaos. Everything's still happening. And this time I went to the reserve. My family had moved to the reserve, Osnaburg, Ontario, now known as Mishkegogama. But we're living in this dysfunctional state of living, and everything's chaos. Nobody's working, everybody's drinking, and everybody's on welfare and stuff like that. So the first thing I do is when I get home, nobody's home when I get home. Everybody's down in Pickle Lake drinking. So I hitchhike down to Pickle. Again, I get a can of beer. And to think nobody's still gotten charged about my mother's death. And a week later, I entered the jail system because I was 16 now. A week later, I racked up charges. A week later, I was in Kenora jail, facing more charges. So from that point on, ever since my mother's death, and even before that, it just become a roller coaster of one foster home, one group home after another. They were always trying to find me, put me in one institution after another. So I ended up traveling the country back and forth, going to one home, one institution after another. And then when I reached 16, along the way I picked up alcoholism, drug addiction, homelessness, a whole bunch of rebelling, a whole bunch of, whole lot of trouble, man. That's the way we became, that's the way I became. I started going into this way of living, of being this hardcore, cold, whatever happens, happens, And I ended up doing a lot of time after that, after I turned 16. All I remember is doing time. That's how I lived. I became, before I became 16, I was already institutionalized. From the first point of residential school, from that point on, I became institutionalized. I'm your poster child for the assimilation project they had. I've lost my culture, I've lost my language, I've lost, every symptom that they point out in the whole residential school, the symptoms of residential school, I'm at. My relationships break apart, I can't hold a job down, I can't, I don't have a car, I don't have a license, I don't have anything and everything that they point out as a symptom. I've got it. Anyways, I ended up doing a whole lot of time. Ended up in one institution after another after that. Because when you get into that way of living, you become, like I said, you become cold, you become institutionalized, where jail doesn't matter, man. You can stand in the corner for 3 months without, blinking an eye. And doing time was just like going home. So, I had a lot of friends there. So that's all I ever did after that, when I reached 16. All I ever did is go to jail, come back out, pick up some more charges. It was just one big circle. Just going around and around all the time. And living on the reserve, the way our reserve was, wasn't exactly your most healthy environment to grow up in, live in, because everybody's drinking, everybody's out of work, everybody's on welfare. And I lived like that until about 27. And then I quit drinking. And then what happened when I quit drinking is I started to become functional. Well, I didn't become functional right away, but I started learning what sobriety was all about. And even up to that point, this guy's still free. Even though people know who did what to my mother and that. And